in the Marines together or something.
So they end up convincing Jason Statham, after some convincing, to go back and help. He then goes, but we're going to do this very quickly because there's no sense in doing it scene by scene. He goes back very quickly to try and save them. There's also a love interest in this, whose name I've forgotten. Lil, her real name is Lil Bing Bing.
I do remember that.
It's a great name. But she's the love interest in this, and she...
Sulen
is her name in this, who's really good. And she also has a little girl in the film whose name we couldn't actually find because she's not credited in the movie, who was brilliant in this as well.
She's
really good comic relief.
Comic relief for that.
So she's gone out, she's also the lady's the daughter of the guy who's running the project.
So she's the second in command scientist.
Exactly, and so she goes down first of all because she thinks she's going to save them.
Yeah.
And then as she goes down there and Statham is on his way down, she's attacked by something. But it's not a shark.
Could it be?
It's a big squid. It's a massive squid.
Think of the amount of calamari you could have on that.
I know, it's giant. And then you get, finally, as Statham's on his way down, you get the reveal of the Megalodon, my favourite ever prehistoric animal, that eats the squid. And then you get the full reveal of this giant 75-foot shark.
75 foot.
They basically then, he rescues some people. Sadly, some guy dies, who was actually in Scrubs. But that's not important. And then they escape. They go up. But they've somehow managed to open a portal so that the shark can get through. And I think Hannah is going to take over from now.
So the shark gets through. And, here we go. It's Jaws on steroids, basically. So the shark gets through. And he or she, whatever it is,
They call it she a lot.
It calls it a she a lot. I think it's that ocean theory, boats are she's, aren't they, and things. So yeah, it goes to one of the most heavily populated beaches I've ever seen, and everybody's on lilos and those decks that are chained to the bottom of the ocean, and it goes and eats a load of kids and just causes mayhem.
That was brilliant.
It eats a giant, was it a blue whale? Yeah. It ends up eating a giant blue whale. Oh, it goes mad. And then the whole storyline now is this slight love interest while trying to track down this giant shark. It was starting with the scientific basis, oh my god, we've got, this is a dinosaur basically, and we have to capture it, not kill it, but obviously it's a giant shark. How do you capture a giant shark? That kind of thing. And then before you know it, we've caught it. It's magic. It's done it. Look at what we did, And that typical, they did it in Jaws. That typical stood by the shark.
It's a word.
It's a word.
My favourite line.
Yeah. And yes, they did need a bigger boat this time because, boom, guess what? There's another one. You capture
it in Lake Placid
they do it in Lake Placid as well. So all of these monster films, there's always another monster. Pops out, they have to now try and kill this shark as well. Leads to a really fantastic, spoiler alert, fantastic killing scene. So they got these two very futuristic subs that they're driving, and quite literally, the shark bites Statham's submarine, which then makes this sharp object, and he flies into the propeller or something. That then he uses to quite literally gut the shark. He slices all the way down the shark.
Not one for vegans, this.
No, not a good vegan. No, don't do this. Sushi. Yeah. So now there's loads of blood in the water, and obviously this is a 75-foot shark that's now got a slice, slightly in half. He's still kind of with it though. He's still trying to chase him. And then the blood attracts basically every single shark in the entire Pacific Ocean, floods, and he gets eaten, which is kind of a strange nod. I don't know. I quite like it. It was a nicer ending than just blowing it up.
And yeah, because
that's been done before.
And also in this day and age, obviously, I'm joking about vegetarians and vegans. There's a lot more vegetarians and vegans.
Yeah.
So the shark killing it, that's fine now.
Yeah,
the shark
that's allowed.
killed it. We didn't do anything.
We didn't do it.
Humankind is fine. Just a quick mention for a few people in the film. So Dwight, who was the billionaire in it, there was a part in the film where he had told the whole of the crew that he told the Chinese government, because it was just off the coast of China, he told the Chinese government, the Australian government, and all governments needed that this megalodon is on the loose, not to worry, all go home. And then it turns out he'd actually double-crossed them, and because it was his company, he didn't want the negative publicity, and he was going to try and kill it himself. It goes wrong, obviously it goes wrong.
He
gets his comeuppance and ends up dying, and I was very sad because Dwight is Dwight in any film he does, and Rainn Wilson is brilliant. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. Yeah. And the overall review of the film it's exactly what you're expecting.
Yeah, it's Jaws on steroids. It's another Jason Statham playing Jason Statham.
If you want to go and see Jason Statham say it's a megalodon, then that's exactly why you go and watch this film.
Yeah.
He's good. He's okay in it. He does Jason Statham.
He does it.
It's Jason Statham
fine.
going fishing is what this film is about.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible film. There's a lot of light moments in it. There's some good jump scares, and it's very like Jaws in terms of there are intense moments when anytime someone's in the sea, even though the shark is massive, you still feel tense that it can come out of
you still
anywhere.
want to, like deep down inside, you're still doing the da-da, da-da.
And there's a great scene where, as H mentioned, where they're in a glass tube and it's impenetrable. There's a great character in it who's played by, what's her name?
Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose, who's in Orange is the New Black.
That's the one.
And she says that it's impenetrable. There is no way they're going to break it. And I thought, it's going to break.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
Fair,
and to be fair, that's the part where he's running with it, he's swimming with it in his mouth and he can't break
that's
the
the
tube.
issue, because it won't break.
Exactly.
And she's
he's
stuck
drowning.
in it.
So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
Overall, what are we giving this?
Well, going with Hale2theGeek ratings, so we're going to call it specs ratings, so glasses. Me personally, it's a 7 out of 10, 7 glasses out of 10.
And we're giving it 7 out of 10 in terms of this kind of film. We're not comparing this to, I don't know, pick a great Good Will Hunting, which most people would say is a 10-star film.
Yeah, it's not even in the same genre. You can't do that.
Film.
No,
but
yeah, if you want to go and you just want to jump, it's a jump film, cracking CGI. It's worth a crack. It is worth a crack.
Good film. My one criticism is I would have liked the shark reveal to have been pushed back a little bit. I thought it was done slightly too early in the film, because then by the end you're almost desensitized to the fact of how big the shark actually is.
And sometimes it looked massive and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah,
it was a bit strange.
It was a bit inconsistent. And you said
the dorsal fin, is that what I call it? So the dorsal fin, basically trying to put a tracker on it all the way through to try and track where it's going to turn up. And the dorsal fin on those scenes didn't look big enough for a 75-foot shark.
No.
So that was a bit strange.
Unless they're going the iceberg method, that there's only a tiny little bit of it that's actually at the top.
Yeah.
But I'm not
quite sure about that.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for the Meg review.
There's some good characters in it though. With that's just to chip on him. I always butt in, don't I? So yeah, there's some good characters in it, and that's what we got to take out from this. Like, it's another act for Ruby, because Ruby has done her Netflix. I think there's about 3 or 4 seasons now. I'm very behind. I'm not gonna lie. I am not very good at keeping up with those seasons. But it's another one because she's also going to be in John Wick 2. So this is. Or 3? I get confused. I think it's 3. Yeah, I get confused with the storyline because again, it's coming off of the comic book. So she's really getting there. I think she's going to really establish herself. Again, she's like the cool kid on the block, the IT. She's the geek. Yeah. Yay! She's the geek in the film.
Yeah. So, and she grows into the role.
And she really grows into the role.
So talking about tattooed people, this brings us on to H Shoots, which is, as I mentioned, going to be the part of the show where Hannah has a bit of a gripe about something or has something she feels passionately about. We're going to discuss it, and if anyone has either agreement of opinion, a different opinion, whatever, we're happy to hear. We will air it on next week's show or whenever we decide to talk about this next. So yeah, that's the plan for this. And I believe, if I remember rightly, it's tattoos and piercing, aka body modifications.
Correct, Dan. Thank you. So yes, H Shoots. Talking real stuff with me. So I have tattoos. We both do. So I have tattoos, and 6 months ago, I can't believe the time has flown by, Christmas soon, just saying, I decided to go out and get a design that I've been wanting for absolutely ages on my hands. The issue was, I went into the tattoo parlour and had this idea. Just to explain it to you, because obviously this is very faceless, I have sugar skulls, traditional tattoos. That's what I have on my hands. And I wanted that on my hands, like kind of on the corner, like, that padded bit by where your thumb is. About 50 pence piece size. That's what I was walking into. And quite rightly, I asked for opinion. I wanted the design. There's a lot of detail in the faces of the sugar skull. And basically, as time would go on, as my hands would stretch or get older, I was told that it would get like a big clump of black ink. So it would be a waste of time. So I've gone from 50p size hand tattoos to my whole entire hand is now covered. Both of my hands are completely covered. So what was really strange, obviously I love my tattoos now, 6 months on, they've healed perfectly and I love them. I'm just chuffed. But what was really strange is the first time ever, considering I have 4 other tattoos, it's the first time ever I was faced with, oh my God, I've actually got to think about this. And a little bit of stigma. And yourself was actually quite surprised when I came home and you're like, okay, they're bigger than we planned. It was really strange. It was that indifferent feeling. Like I really had to think about this. And even the tattoo artist said to me, we did, when they design it and then they put it all on your hands and they match it up and make sure and they draw on your hand like trace. He even said, picked up the needle. Are you really sure? I'm not kidding. He must have asked me quite a few times. And that's something, isn't it? Coming from a chap this very heavily tattooed. My tattoo artist is very heavily tattooed. I think he's even got something like a hammer or something on the side of his face. He's heavily tattooed, and even he was saying like, "Are you sure?" And yeah, like I actually had to take a step back. Like while he was upstairs designing things, I had to take a real big think of, okay, I'm going to tattoo my hands. It's that part of the body where everybody will see. This is not where you can cover something up. So a lot of things kind of came into my head. So first of all, I'm a career girl. So I was thinking, okay, what about my career? What about job interviews and like job prospects? Should I go for an interview? What about my customers? So in my line of work in sales, what about my customers, my projection? What are they going to kind of think? So that kind of worried me. And of course, the disapproval of friends and family. My mum, obviously. My mummy actually loves them now. However, at the time I was like, oh my God, my mum's going to go mad. She went mad on my first ever tattoo. And I basically have hid the rest. So yeah, it was a bit scary. And she didn't, it's hard. Like people I've got scaffolding in my ears. I've got stretchers. My nose piercing. I did have my lip pierced. I've got a lot of piercings, but you can hide and take them out. So this was the first time I've really had to think. It was real. So,
and you said to me at the time, it stresses you out how people ask you stuff about them.
Yeah, so it's the thing. Like I find it hard as well when people go
ask you stuff, so they give you statements.
Yeah, they give me statements basically. So they say stuff like, "Oh, what about when you're older? What is it going to look like when you're older? What about when? Do they mean anything?" It's constantly a thing.
Yeah, and I think it's really important on this show that we have a balanced opinion on stuff. And personally, I know you feel very strongly about this. So I feel like it's my job to play devil's advocate and kind of give you something, not just you, but anyone listening, sort of something to think about it. Now, in my personal opinion, I have one tattoo.
Yeah,
I have one tattoo, and it has a meaning behind it. That is my personal preference.
And it does take out your entire leg, though.
It does, yes. It's my personal preference. I believe people can have whatever they want. I might have an opinion on it myself. For example,
go on.
I am not a massive fan, and I'm not having a go, not a massive fan of single neck tattoos. Not a neck piece, just not a massive fan. It's my personal preference. But at the same time, it's not my body.
No.
It is not my choice.
No, it's not your choice. And that's something I was like coming round to is I stood in that tattoo parlour. I had these thoughts. Yet I then said, you know what? Just because my hands are tattooed doesn't make a difference. I am still me. I'm still Han. And I'm me. And this is what I want. It's my hands. It's my body. I've got plans for the rest. To be quite honest, once I have my sleeves sorted out and the rest of my body sorted out, my hands aren't really going to be the only thing that's tattooed. So why? Why did I think this? Why?
I suppose the thing is why is there a stigma?
Yeah, what is the stigma?
And again, just to play devil's advocate for it, which I'm going to do.
You're going to do it.
I did have an indifferent opinion on yours when they were done, but now, you know, they're there, and it's that thing. And I think the stigma isn't just... It does look intimidating on first glance, because especially people that have full body tattoos, full sleeves, you're not looking at the individual piece. You're looking at the thing as a whole, and that can become quite intimidating. When you're not looking at each individual bit of art, which it is, it becomes intimidating. And also at the same time, somebody who's got a